Film Vault! Welcome everyone to the Film Vault. That's Anderson. I'm Brian Bishop. We're your hosts for today. We got some Blue Beetle coming your way, some Strays coming your way, both from me and assigned to us by Dani Leffler. But I'm a cheerleader.
Dani Leffler has watched But I'm a Cheerleader finally after all these years. Brian, I would like to thank you for many things. Being alive, that's a good one. Continuing to live.
It's the least I can do.
Hosting us here in your very hot, uncomfortable kitchen week in, week out. That's always
you can just say in my kitchen.
What?
You can just say in my kitchen.
Is he quiet? I mean, I should.
He should be dimed.
Brian, let me see your level.
Check 5, 4, 3,
check
2,
1,
1.
2, check 1. Yeah, I got more juice than him.
He's dimed. I don't know why it's not louder.
Yeah, Brian, I think your microphone's not plugged in properly. Are you new to this?
I plugged everything in as normal.
All right, maybe talk into the microphone.
As normal.
That'll help you. I want to thank you for the listeners.
There he is.
On behalf of the listeners, on behalf of Avery, and behalf of myself, thank you for watching Strays and Blue Beetle, two movies that
I like the show as a service.
Yeah, and I think that one of our opinions should be made on those two movies.
I think you and I would have seen eye to eye on these films.
Yeah, so
there's not a lot of room for interpretation, nuance. They are what they are.
This takes me back to like high school where I'm just, letting someone else do the work for me. Yeah, that's nice. I'm like constantly hunting for movies that could possibly be on my Vaulties at the end of the year, right? And I'm not going to waste time in theaters.
Wait, I agree with you, and I see the wisdom. Do you not see the wisdom of searching for movies that could be on your Revaulties list?
Oh my God, I forgot about Revaulties.
Because I might have one.
Oh no, I forgot about Revaulties. Revaulties is going to be slim pickings this year.
I might have one.
And when I'm not hunting for the Vaulties, I'm hunting for best old new, which is another list that we do at the end of each year, where it's the best top 5 or 10 movies that we've seen that are not from the most recent years. So
often assigned to us by listeners.
Yeah, a lot of the time they are movies that are assigned to us by. I guess it wouldn't count to have like a movie we've already seen on there if we just happen to see it again. Like I just saw Ghostbusters for like the 19th time, I think, over the weekend.
The female one?
No, I still haven't seen that one. No, I saw it in theaters.
Oh, no.
I haven't seen it with Atticus.
It's not good.
He keeps telling me that it's not good. I'm like, what are you doing, you little misogynistic prick? What are you doing?
You think he doesn't like it because it's a woman?
I think it's probably a little scarier than he's willing to admit.
That's probably true.
He's been on 4chan a couple times.
That's true.
He has been over my shoulder while I am enraged looking at people. I joke.
Daddy, are those the reviews of groupers?
Daddy, why are they all ganging up on your movie? No, I haven't been on 4chan since a listener alerted me. Thank God I was alerted to the 4chan fiasco, because if not, I would just be like, wow, a lot of people suddenly hated my movie. I would still not know to this day.
I'm
You'd be searching why.
I think it's good to know, right?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Hey guys, all right, so honestly, thank you very much for watching those two movies. I guess I
saw them on the same day, back to back, in the same theater.
Jesus, that's not fair to the movies nor the filmmakers, bro.
Why is that? Why is it not fair?
Because you have fatigue.
And Strays is 90 minutes.
Stray Beetles.
Yeah, Stray Beats.
Barbenheimer meets Stray Beetles.
Hey, look, I'm not going to do this. I've said this before, but in case you weren't listening closely or maybe you missed those weeks, like I'll watch the big-ass movies that we have to cover. I don't feel like Blue Beetle or Strays
falls into that category?
Either one, yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
Nope, you might be right.
Might be.
Well, we're going to find out.
I'm still much louder than you. This troubles me. How about you just...
I'm right here, man. What am I not
he's
on
all
mic?
I mean, he's dimed.
Oh, I found a quarter inch there.
Check.
Okay.
Is this him? We're just talk, Brian.
Hey.
Yeah,
I'm muted now.
Yeah.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
All right.
No,
just speak up, Brian. So
everyone
wants to hear you.
Back away.
I'll talk like this.
There you go.
We're new to this, all right? Give us a break. We just started.
We're first timers.
It's just started 20 years ago or so, so we're just getting the hang.
We're bound to get it right sooner rather than later.
It's in the third decade they really figure out the levels.
Just give them time. Give them like 22 years, and then they really figure out how the show works. All right, hey, Brian, what do you got?
Hey, I got some movies to talk about. I want to hear what the listeners have seen.
That's what I meant. Avery, what do you got?
I want to hear the people.
All right, so we got a little Fanfliction compiled by the Mitch Burns.
Mitch.
I think he kind of messed up on the copy and paste, but I'll read you what I got. Mitch leads off, batting lead off here. It says, Blue Beetle is milquetoast, unfunny, and boring.
Mitch says this?
Yes, and boring. Terrible dialogue. Nothing new here at all. 1 star just for the performances by the 2 young leads. And I think that's it. And then he doesn't say who.
You thought that was the best part.
And then he says, I don't know who gave the next review. But he said, saw Blue Beetle and really enjoyed it. A fun film that set up a cool character that I hope we get to see again.
Did he just not give their name?
I think it might have been Bryan. Probably one of the better post-Endgame superhero films. Just too bad it is getting dismissed because it is associated with DC. P.S. My 10-year-old said it was
that's the reason it's getting dismissed.
P.S. My 10-year-old said it was his favorite movie ever, and my soon-to-be 7-year-old son yelled out, "That's what I'm talking about," when the grandma shot all the bad guys.
That makes sense. That actually adds up.
Oh, the grandma actually uses the gun that we got to see in the trailer.
Cool. Pretty
this
cool,
is
right?
made for 7 and 10-year-olds.
Do you want to guess the FVT score?
Well, Anderson has no frame of reference.
Well, I do, because I've seen the trailer 3 times.
Like
and he has a
child
brain
that
and
wanted-
common sense.
50%.
I'm going 35.
Way too high. 17.
17.
I shouldn't laugh. I think that's
Wow.
what
That was
Purpose
probably the
runs
7-year-old.
That's right. He weighed in.
with. You know what I've noticed? And of course, my son is saying it because he's 6, and they're sponges, and they say what they hear most often, and that's "Let's go" is everywhere.
Is it?
Everywhere. When I
It hasn't gone there yet.
let's go, let's go. Like that's how people cheer now. That's how people show that they're
I thought
excited
that was
about
a
anything.
while ago.
It's peaking right
I
now.
thought that wave had crested.
I was
Yeah.
I was on a game show last week. And,
Oh, yeah.
with a lot of participants. I must have heard "Let's Go," no exaggeration, 40 to 50 times within that group of contestants that I was associated with
You find yourself in?
on the game show. To the point where I almost heard myself say it at one point. Like you hear it so much, it's almost
Time
like
slowed down.
a song in your head that you know.
Yeah.
I didn't say it. I caught myself. Yeah. Let's go. Atticus is just constantly, "Let's go." Like I give him some good news. "Let's go." I'm like, okay, where are we going? Where do you want to go? It's peaking. All right.
Roger Jimenez on Facebook. Strays. Awful. I was hoping.
You just left it there.
I was hoping with the comedic talent involved, it would be much better. Sort of like a vulgar reimagining of The Incredible Journey, but nowhere near as entertaining. Effective Fun 7723 on Reddit went to the re-release of Old Boy. Fucking smart. The only thing I knew about it was Bryan and Anderson love it, and the protagonist is imprisoned for 15 years. To say the wife and I walked out of the movie stunned would be a gross understatement.
That was a real octopus.
Amazing film. I'll be thinking
was.
about this one for a long time
Past
to come.
tense.
And that wasn't even the shocking part. The octopus. You know what? You can kind of tell what kind of a person you're dealing with if they've seen Old Boy and they say that they were startled, stunned, and dismayed by the climax. And it's the octopus they're talking about. Now, I'm an octopus lover. I don't
Does
eat
you?
taco myself.
It's the world's smartest mollusk.
It is the world's smartest mollusk.
As you've informed me.
Is it my mic that's problematic?
See, now I don't know
I
what
don't
to
think
believe.
so.
Is it? Oh, those are my headphones. Okay.
Oh boy.
So I think
Let's go.
I think it's very awful, especially when they did. I think multiple takes of him eating a live octopus. That's not cool. But it's the other thing that's much more disturbing, I think. But if someone says, "Yeah, the octopus," you're like, "Oh, okay." You know what I mean?
That should be third or fourth on the list of shocking things.
Well, Old Boy's fucking tight.
Tight. Hammer fight. 8-Bit Lumber on Instagram. I sat down with my wife for her first ever viewing of There Will Be Blood.
Oh, dear.
Did you explain everything that was going on to her, like they suggest you do in Barbie?
Daniel Plainview is both the hero and the villain.
It's more of a character study, sort of a tone poem. She really fell in
He's not
love
so much
with.
an anti-hero as he's a flawed hero.
She really fell in love with Daniel Plainview and has even been saying, "Why don't I own this?"
Why don't I marry your wife? Because my wife still talks about how terrible that movie is.
Mean.
It's not good. Obviously, it's already one of my favorites, and I'm glad she enjoyed it as well. And lastly, Krongos 2D.
That sounds like a movie title of something I
Very bad DC film.
Krongos.
Krongos.
Yeah, that's a secondary villain.
Krongos 2D. Back to the Krong.
You know what? All right. Okay.
Finally, I finally saw Game Night on Hulu.
Oh, not bad.
The guys were right. Jesse Plemons as Gary was a supporting character to remember. The whole movie was entertaining and
Thank
fun.
you not to besmirch my wife.
That's always a line
She's
that
a
pops into
wonderful
my
woman.
Thank you not to besmirch.
You guys having a game night in there?
No, besmirch my ex-wife. She's a wonderful lady.
The end, if you watch the credits and you see all of his research he's done on the actual sales they have of Ruffles or whatever the chip was.
Oh yeah, Gary. Yeah, Gary's strings.
his strings. Yeah.
Didn't they say something like, "I found it hard to believe the Frito-Lay Corporation"?
Yes, it seems like they'd be taking a loss. Oh, he's so good. Checking the mail.
That's a great
times.
minor character.
Yeah, he's the character that saved that movie. It was a fine movie without him, but with him, it's solid
special.
4.5 star movie that you have to see at some point.
You know what? I don't know that you do. I think you can watch this scene standalone.
No. It's a
YouTube.
fun movie, and
But I'm saying you
drives
can
the
watch
narrative.
this scene standalone.
It's like saying that about Spicoli with. Maybe that's not quite right.
I don't think that's right. I think he exists in the world, but with Mr. Hand and all that shit.
Yeah, but Spicoli makes that movie that much better. But it could stand alone and be a very good movie
That's
without
true.
him. Hey, are we onto something here? Is there something there, Brian, for a top 5? I don't know why I'm talking like this.
How do you phrase that? Do I have minor characters to make the movie worth watching?
While we're at it, I came up with a couple,
Oh,
and it's gonna be hard to phrase these.
pitch them. I'll fix them.
Top 5 inane monologues,
That's good.
like
Wait.
monologues that just aren't. They're inane on purpose.
They're not particularly captivating.
But I mean, that's the joke of it. I
So
think.
sort of like Leslie, like we just listened to before the
That
pod
wouldn't be
started.
inane. That's genius, though, because we Avery and
Already got number 1.
See, all right, are we onto something?
Already got number 2.
Top 5 and all right, Brian, settle in.
Same movie.
Yeah,
Same character.
Avery and I, and Brian
He was subjected.
he was subjected and he put up with it, but
That was a name.
we were watching some Leslie Claret out bits
From Patriot.
From Patriot. My God, is it good? God,
Flim
is it-
flam dampeners.
We
all
could have
the
just
way to the
continued.
main apron.
for the next 2 hours just watching Patriot clips, namely Leslie Claret. Oh my God, it's so good, Brian.
Already got my top 2.
All right, well, you got 3 more to go. And then also, how about this one? Top 5 movies from yesteryear that would be considered woke today. Huh?
Interesting. Yeah, top 5 old movies that would be considered woke.
Yeah, because
Schindler's List.
we got one that we're going to be reviewing this week. But I'm a Cheerleader, thanks to Dani Leffler. I think if that were to come out today, especially if a studio put it out, I'd be annoyed because I'd be like, oh, look at
Yeah.
who decided.
That's a tough list because movies don't age well generally.
Right.
In terms of representation or what have you.
But there are movies like Ridley, and we could do it. It could be comprised of nothing but Ridley Scott movies where he made a lot of decisions that were very pro-female and feminist. And I think today, if you were to see that, you'd be like, look at Ridley Scott trying to, be part
Sure.
of the zeitgeist
Oh,
and the
yeah, woman
conversation.
lead.
But he's been doing that since long before it was. I mean, the women's lib's been around for a long time, but I mean, Hollywood. That's the thing too. With I get really annoyed. I don't know if you guys are with me, but when when Marvel is putting in gay characters, I love that. But part of me, I think it's great and it's necessary, and especially because it's so big and it helps normalize and helps people feel represented. But part of me is like, look at the studio trying to look
Yes.
like they're on the right side of history. You know what I
There's
mean?
an element of that with Blue Beetle.
But it doesn't do that. I don't have that feeling when an independent movie does that because it's not a big corporation
Yes.
making that
it's not
decision.
trying to
Yes.
cash in on this
Right.
trend, for lack of a better word.
Yeah. When I see commercials doing it, I can't remember the last time I saw a commercial where it was a same race couple. The last 2
Straight
years.
male, white male and female.
Yeah. The last 2 years, every single couple. And it's like, fuck you, corporations trying to. You're the ones who caused this problem.
What they've done, the research, I remember at my old job, we were talking about, they crunch the numbers, and that's how you actually sell the most product, is white people respond strongly, the strongest to mixed race couples. That's the option that they respond to the most.
If only we had a marketing genius under this roof.
Oh, you're suggesting your wife is
She would know all
a marketing genius. I mean, that gives a whole nother level when you look at it that way to the clone Tyrone, and you
True.
can kind of see what they're concerned about
where
there.
does the product come from?
Kind of concerned.
Hey, let me pose this to you. With no
They were
research,
concerned. Perhaps, if you are concerned about those things, okay.
introducing a new segment to the show, Snap Judgment. No research. I'm going to pose a question to you, and you're going to give me your gut instinct. Who amongst these 3 white male directors has done more for female empowerment through their movies?
Quentin Tarantino.
Tarantino, Ridley Scott, James Cameron. Go.
Ridley Scott.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, just with The Last Duel and And
The Last Duel. You leading with The Last Duel?
I mean, just most recently, and of course with the Alien over there, and you got the Thelma and Louise. I mean, he's been doing it for.
Black Hawk Down.
No, that's not so much.
Black Rain.
He did lead the way though for North African films being shot over there in the Middle East, right? Like that was one of the first ones from that conflict.
If it hadn't been for Avatar, I might go James Cameron.
I was going to say James Cameron's his nemesis was that last fanfliction, whatever his name, Camagon 2D.
Kandang.
Krongos 2D.
Krongos 2D. That sounds like the nemesis of.
Yeah,
That sounds
that's
like
the next villain.
That sounds like the best arcade game in the 80s. I want to play some Krongos.
Krongos sounds. Yeah, that sounds very tight.
Krongos.
Right next to Street
2D.
Fighter.
Some hipster's got a Krongos tattoo.
Oh, yeah. It's just a lizard with aviators.
All right.
Krongos.
Okay.
I saw a 1967 film directed by Massimo Del Mano.
Oh, look at you.
We still doing
Look at you.
Fanfliction?
Yeah,
Spaghetti Western.
What'd you see?
I saw Banditos.
Banditas.
You can watch for free on Tubi.
Okay, good.
It was fun. Scant 90 minutes.
All right.
Nice.
It's you see expert gunslinger.
Okay.
He's on a train.
Mm-hmm.
The train is hijacked.
Yeah.
His nemesis shoots a hole through both his hands.
Uh-huh.
And then he must train a new protege
Oh.
to kill his nemesis.
I like this. On the
Banditas.
train? Are they stuck on the train the whole movie?
No. They get off the train.
Oh, they get
That's
off the
the
train.
cold open.
Okay.
And a great long shot in that. But it's fun. Banditos.
Italian.
Italian. Spaghetti Western, yes.
Is it dubbed?
It is dubbed. It's got all the hallmarks and the trappings.
Okay.
And
Banditas.
the main the villain is the actor's name is Venatini. That
All
doesn't
right.
tell you.
What's the score like?
The score on it's 6.6 on IMDb.
the musical score.
Oh,
The
very
sound.
good. Very enjoyable.
Very good score.
Very enjoyable.
A lot of time that's really sells those movies.
A lot of gunshots. Yeah, it's very enjoyable.
I'm not talking about the sound editing necessarily. I'm talking about the musical score, like how it.
I got thoughts on
Ramp shot.
sound editing.
Enjoyable.
I got
Enjoyable.
sound editing
Enjoyable.
thoughts.
One more top 5 to pitch.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Top 5 slow
And
motion.
Banditos.
Banditos.
Top 5 slow motion walking shots. I don't know if that's the right terminology, but the infamous.
Walking away from the explosion.
No,
Reservoir
these
Dogs.
Reservoir Dogs, yes,
Okay.
which happens in every fucking movie. I think it happened in the old Strays over there. I'm pretty sure it
Definitely
did.
I would say that's still too visual. The first two are fantastic.
Too visual.
Yeah.
We talk about movies every
I
goddamn
got,
week.
I got clips. I don't know about you.
That's a good point.
I got clips.
I got clips.
I can play slow motion music sounds. And also, Tarantino gets a lot of credit for kind of putting that in the zeitgeist. Maybe he brought it back to zeitgeist. That's not where it all began.
Indeed.
Do you know where it began?
Nothing began with Tarantino.
Do you know where well, that's true. Do you know the first that I know of, the first time you see 4 or 5
I'd
cool
like to know.
guys walking slow
Is it
motion?
one of the aforementioned spaghetti westerns?
No, not to my knowledge. As far as I can tell, it all began with a little movie that involves some droogs. Walking by some water. Slow-mo. Overcranked, they call it. Brian, call it overcranked. That's the terminology. He's doing
Alex
overcranked.
asserts his dominance.
And then Alex, he pulls out his little knifey there, and that's where it all began. And here we are, all these years later, and they got fucking dogs doing it. And Strays.
We come a long way.
What do you take it away with the Strays?
Strays is a movie I could talk about now if you want me to.
Take it away.
Strays is a 2023 film directed by Josh Greenbaum.
Has there been a good movie yet that had a red band trailer?
Sure.
What?
Really putting me on the spot.
I know, I really am. I'm sorry. You're pretty good with that with trivia like that.
I know,
'Cause
but-
every time I get the red band trailer, it seams like
Well, I think there's been good movies. We just had one. Didn't we?
a red
Anyway,
band trailer.
My point is,
Favor.
I think you're drilling.
Django had one, right?
Django did?
Yeah, I feel like you're
so.
being.
No, I said what a good movie.
Oh,
How dare you?
Dare me.
How dare you?
Django's my second least favorite Tarantino film.
How dare you?
Still good though. I think you're asking about like the sort of shock effect of like cursing. Like remember what was it
The Good Boys. Yeah.
Good Boys, right? That was the whole gimmick, right? It was 10-year-olds who were just cursing the whole time.
I mean, there's a decent story in there, but that's how they sold it. And
Right.
yeah, at the end of the day, that's kind of what the only thing you remember is like
Sausage Party.
Sausage Party, Bad Santa.
Yes. A lot of think Bad Santa's a
The
good
whole
movie.
gimmick is look, he's drunk and he's cursing in front of children. Isn't this zany?
Josh Greenbaum directed Strays. He directed the documentary I enjoy, Too Funny to Fail, about the Dana Carvey show, starring the voices of Will Ferrell, Jamie Foxx, Isla Fisher, Randall Park, Rob Riggle, Josh Gad, Sofia Vergara, and the actual real life personification of Will Forte.
Mm-hmm.
Will Forte.
Did he steal the show?
No, he was hardly in it. We got a couple of scenes at the beginning, couple of scenes at the end.
Do we know the storyline if we've seen the trailer, which is the dog is abandoned and then he gets mad when he learns about the world's coming of age story, and then he wants to go bite off the dick?
It's all there.
That's the storyline?
There's some funny stuff. Oh, let's get into it.
I tuned out. Who's biting a dick off? What?
The Benji-looking dog, the Will Ferrell dog.
The main character.
He learns that his owner, in fact, wronged him, so he becomes vengeful and wants to go bite off his dick. And seems like it's very funny.
He's a sweet little dog.
You're
he is dedicated to his owner, who is a bum, played by, he's a what did we call it? Didn't we do an episode? Not Sad Sacks, but anyway, he's a mope, and he does nothing but smoke weed and masturbate all day. And the dog thinks it's delightful that he constantly. You've seen the trailer. He throws the ball as far as he can. He fetches, he returns, no matter how far he is from the house. And Will Forte says, "Fuck."
Yeah.
Well, one day he drives him all the way to the city because Will Forte.
Yeah, it's in the trailer. That's in the trailer.
He drives him all the way to the city, throws the ball, takes off. The guy can't find his way home.
Oh no!
And he's like, "But my owner, who loves me so much, has left me."
Yeah.
And
innocent.
He's taken in by 3 other dogs who are to varying degrees stray dogs. Some of them are less stray than others. However, they befriend him and they explain that no, your owner is a horrible person who does not like you, and the dog becomes disillusioned and vows to rip his dick off.
Because they're street smart, right? These dogs know more than he does because they've been on the street.
And because they're African American.
Yeah, again,
is that why?
Well, Jamie Foxx.
Jamie Foxx.
And who else?
Isla Fisher plays a...
She's white.
African American.
Sort of a shepherd.
She does have a black sounding name.
She does.
Isla Fisher?
Yeah,
she's a female Australian comedian.
Her name sounds black, Isla.
Okay. And Randall Park, who is Asian, he plays... I thought it was a Weimaraner or maybe a Vizsla, but it's a big dog. Big dog. And
Brian throwing around dog names.
I should have actually looked it up.
Every chance you get to get a little credit about, hey, that guy knows stuff.
Could have been a Rhodesian Ridgeback.
You know, they were bred. I'm doing it. They were bred to hunt lions.
Really?
Yeah, Rhodesian Ridgeback.
Basenjis.
Rhodesian Ridgeback.
It's amazing how specialized these dog breeds get. Like bulldogs, right? The reason they look like they do, and the reason they have
to scare bulls, right?
Yeah, they literally grab a hold of the ring on a bull's nose and pull it down, and that's
not true.
Yes,
Urban
it is.
legend.
It completely is.
Urban legend. You know what I like? I like the idea of that dog having been trained that way, and then he gets fostered because he's being abused on the farm. He gets rehabilitated. He gets adopted, and he's walking down the street and he sees some hipster with a hoop
septum piercer,
and just leaps. The dog cannot leap up, Brian.
No, dog cannot leap.
Yeah,
but a bull's nose would be low to the ground.
Like 3 feet off the ground. Bulls are big. Bulldogs are not leaping that high.
Hold of that shit. Do you know why a dachshund is called a dachshund?
Yes. Let's move on.
Okay, Avery, yeah.
Let's just not know.
From one to the other.
It's German for a dachshund.
It's impossible. Like we could have offered him a disgusting amount of money right there, and he would not have taken it.
If we were at a restaurant, he would have just gone to another table and just kept asking.
Someone must.
Excuse me.
Someone must.
May I interrupt your meal? I'm sorry for.
Does anyone not know what I'm asking about?
So Dachs in German means badger, and Hund, of course, means dog. It's a badger dog.
Means
the dog
hound,
meant to
actually.
dig into badger holes.
That's why they're long and skinny.
Root them out.
All right.
That's right. They're rather long and skinny.
I would have gone with weasel dogs because they look like weasel bodies, but okay. Like the Germans.
Oh, like a wheelbarrow?
Weasel.
Oh, I said a wheel. Sorry.
Weasel. Yeah, the mouse died. Sorry.
Strays, 55% of Rotten Tomatoes.
Seems low.
It does seem low. In theaters now. I'll tell you, listen, Strays is exactly what's advertised. There's some good laughs. There's some neat laughs. Certain movies like this, everything funny is in the trailer. This has some good laughs beyond that, and it's enjoyable. Thankfully, it sticks to 90 or whatever it is, 95 minutes. Gets in, gets out, gets on its way. It's one joke. It's cute dogs cursing, but it's a funny joke, and it's a joke that works. I must admit I chuckled a handful of times during this movie. Anderson, though, you might have a serious problem with this movie because there is a certain character who mistreats his dog very poorly.
Yeah.
It gets physical at times.
As long as it's fake, I don't care.
I don't know.
I can't stand like the old. There's no way today they're doing that with CGI.
Yeah, I thought the same thing, but then I was like,
with the people that are on the lookout for such things. I mean, I feel like that would be the story, right? It's probably better than a 55% strays that we would have heard about by now. I hope that they're not, hurting animals for this fucking movie in today's day and age. I really, really hope. Or were there any of the characters fun? Because I don't know if I laughed at the trailer once.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I don't think I did.
The first time? Oh, I like the characters. There's a I'll just say there's established very early in the movie that there's a lot of sexual tension between Randall Park's Vizsla or Weimer.
I guess the humping of the deers was. I might have smiled for that scene.
And Isla Fisher's cattle dog or whatever it is, shepherd dog.
You know why they're called shepherds? Because they shepherd the sheep. Yeah, they
herd sheep.
Yeah. That's why they're called shepherds.
They shepherd the sheep.
They shepherd them. Yeah, they do.
They herd the sheep.
They called them Sherpas at first, but people didn't understand what that meant.
It made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I'm guessing Australian. I'm guessing it's an Australian shepherd based on the fact that they have an Australian woman voice the role.
Oh, did they do that?
Yeah.
That's awesome when they do that. I love that. Well, it's an Australian shepherd, so of course she has to.
Australian.
Well, yeah, they cast her on purpose, Brian. Jesus Christ.
If you look up what kind of dogs these are, I really should have researched that.
Doesn't matter.
That said, this is a movie that we were talking about. We had a top 5 a while ago. Top 5 movies that don't need the big screen. I think it was actually during COVID. Movies you can watch at home. Put this on your list to stream when it comes available because there is very little reason to rush out to a theater and spend your hard-earned bucks unless you have the A-list or whatever it is, the frequent flyer program, and it's like
even then, spend that 2 hours watching something that maybe you haven't seen that you've been hearing good things about.
I'm telling you, the 90 minutes is enjoyable. It's not going to be a waste of your time. You're not going to have a revelatory experience, but you're going to enjoy your 90 minutes.
All right,
Avery, what are the dogs?
Isla Fisher is an Australian shepherd.
There you go. Makes a lot of sense.
But Randall Park is a Great Dane.
Really? Oh, seems smaller than me.
How did you not know that it was a Great Dane when Great Danes were impossible to get wrong?
You know what?
Misidentify.
I think it was the coloring. He's very gray, and I always assumed Great Danes were spotted or black and white. What do I know? Here I am profiling.
I have a film to talk about, a movie to talk about. It's called Pinball, The Man Who Saved the Game. Pinball, The Man Who Saved the Game. What?
Did you talk about this last week?
I teased it. And I said, hey, it's on Hulu now. You can watch it because it wasn't getting any love when I saw it. And then I was delighted to see that it was popping up on Hulu. So
thanks to us.
Anyone has the Hulu. No, it has nothing to do with us, right? This is... all about. Do
you remember when you used to avoid recommending movies because you were afraid that too many people would stream them and it would ruin the streaming companies?
No, I don't remember that at all.
You don't remember that?
Easy,
you got to own up to that. Come on, Avery, you've listened to the show for a long time. Please,
nothing about that.
No, but I love the idea of it.
I think I might have said I didn't like the idea of a disc not being available. Maybe that's what you're thinking of.
It was up.
Because a lot of times Netflix had maybe
this
2
came
copies.
Up more than once.
But I was doing it in jest. There's no 100%. I know our numbers. I know that I'm not. Wait, what was
you would avoid talking about a movie too much because you're like, I don't want to ruin.
I want to ruin the what?
Ruin the streaming experience.
I don't understand what that means.
You don't want to ruin the streaming experience. You don't want to somehow crash Netflix.
I've never said anything like that.
Oh, Gio, back me up, buddy.
I've never said anything remotely like that.
To an email.
This is like the fucking gardener thing.
That was just almost as bad. Almost as bad.
Brian.
Gio, back me up on the gardener thing.
Wait.
I know you weren't here.
Wait. These are the kind of things that make me really, really mad, though, Brian. Because it just proves that I've been sitting across from you for decades, and you still have no idea who I am. This is the kind of shit that I would get into with my dad, because my dad just had he had 4 kids. He was crazy. He was very involved.
I have a lot of podcasts. Maybe I'm thinking of another co-host.
Brian, that's not my sense of humor even at all. And there's no way I was being serious about it.
Gardner, I gotta text him.
I'm afraid that I'm gonna crash Netflix if we talk good about this
more
movie.
Than once. Hey, long-time listeners, back me up. Okay. Mike Cole, I know you've been listening for a long time.
I saw a movie. It's called Pinball, The Man Who Saved the Game. Last week I was foolishly calling it The Man Who Changed the Game. Or I don't know. Doesn't
Game
matter.
changer.
Starring Mike Feist.
No, guys.
Feist.
Don't all run out to see this at once on Hulu.
And no one
Give 'em a
understands a
break.
fucking word you just said.
Don't all rush out to see this at once on Hulu. Give them a break. Space it out.
What is going on right now?
If your last name
Brian.
is A to F, watch it tonight. At 8
That's kind of
p.m.
funny. I'll give you that. That's a little bit funny. But what the fuck, Brian? Like, this is so out of left field. It's nothing I've ever said. It's not my sense of humor.
Oh.
And I obviously I would not believe.
Multiple times.
What the fuck's going on? I don't know. Like, I don't even want to continue talking about the movie. It's like
I want to hear about Pinball, the man who changed the game.
you suckled for many years by a man who said some very funny things. One of those things that he said was like, it's like playing handball against the curtains. And
Right.
that's what it feels like doing the show with you.
are you
It
talking
feels
about?
like playing handball against fucking curtains, Brian.
Okay.
I'm trying to talk about a very good movie. I am concerned for Hulu's well-being. No, I've never said anything like that.
Tubi is robust. You can see banditos all day long.
All right, so Pinball, the man that saved the game.
Pinball.
Crystal Reed is also in it. Christopher Convey. Dennis Boudakarius.
How dare you mangle a proud Greek name like that?
Boudakarius. He plays the subject, who is Mr. Sharp. And it's kind of interesting the way that they present this movie. Mr. Sharp is Roger Sharp, who it is all based about.
Okay.
It is all based on Roger Sharp.
Remember your preflection included some detail. It was like a faux documentary or half documentary.
Yeah, it's a faux documentary. That's the way that they make it seem, because they have this actor playing the actual subject, Roger Sharp, as like those himself in a talking head scenario interview setup. So you see the actual guy who's supposed to be the guy, but it's actually played by an actor, which I didn't realize at the time, even though I did kind of recognize this guy. So he's talking about his own life, you know, today, like in present time. And I should say this also directed by the Bragg brothers, Meredith and Austin Bragg.
Meredith's
directed
a
this.
brother?
They did a pretty good job. Yeah, Meredith can be a man's name at times.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know?
I learned something today.
Such as when a man is named that.
You've never heard of Meredith Baxter, Bernie? Oh, she's a woman.
That's a woman. Every Meredith I've ever known has been a female.
Burgess Meredith? Oh, wait, that's his last name.
Meredith Vieira.
All right, so it's a quasi. They make it seem like a quasi doc, but now I realize that was an actor actually playing the subject and the talking, and not important. So, didn't love that guy though who's playing the part. The guy's name
So
who
the
I butchered.
documentary cutaways are to an actor. Is what you're saying.
So it's a doc. It's like, imagine a talking head, and he's talking about himself and what he did, and he's real cocky, and he's like talking about, you know, here's what I did to, you know, it's not that important, but it's very self-aware as well. Like, it's a PG-13, and he's about to say in his talking head interview style, and then the rest is reenactments, because he like talks you through it. He almost narrates. He's like, all right, here's what was going on in like 1965 or whatever. You know, I just moved to New York.
Sure.
I loved it from Chicago. I love playing pinball machines. I had no idea that they were illegal in New York. Who knew, huh? And he's kind of annoying me. And then he's about to say fuck at one point, and he goes, wait, what's our rating there? And he's like, and then you hear the director off screen saying PG-13. And he's like, so I only get one? And he goes, yeah. He's like, I don't want to use it yet. Unless they had it in the credits, and I'm pretty sure I watched the credits, he never used it, which is kind of disappointing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's disappointing. However,
Yeah, where's the one F?
the movie is all about just that, which is this kid who looks kind of directionless, and he didn't really know what he's doing with his life, college-age kid. And you see him playing pinball kind of for the first time, and he's watching this guy play it really, really well, and he realizes, oh, it's a skill game. Like, it's not just a luck game. It's a chance game, which is what all the politicians at the time thought it was, lazily thought it was, and they
Sure.
thought it was Plinko. And some of the early pinball machines were much more about chance.
They had paddles, I assume.
They didn't. The flappers were added later. You learn all the history of pinball, which is kind of fascinating. The top designers, the top innovators of the field, and you get to see this guy's journey playing pinball in the only place that he was allowed to play pinball, which was in this seedy X-rated porn shop, which had a couple pinball machines in there, and because of shading illegal, and it was,
Yeah.
So why did they care when you couldn't win money?
I know they
gives a
never
shit?
really
At
quite
the end
got
of the
into
day,
that.
who
I guess they were suggesting that there was stealing money from kids,
they were gambling on it.
or they were gambling on
But
it.
what do you win? You don't win anything. So how's that gambling?
They actually bring pool up. Billiards gets brought up about how that everyone's gambling on that all the time. You get free games, which was a source of contention as well, and they actually
Low
explain it.
stakes.
They lay it out within this movie, within the storyline, which is they created this. It was really a law that was enacted to crack down on the actual gangsters and the actual dangerous people out there.
It's a money laundering scheme.
But the mayor decided, the mayor of LaGuardia, actually, the mayor of New York at the time, he decided to crack down on the pinballs because he could do the same thing, get press about it, but not really endanger himself at all. And of course, everyone started following suit. All the other cities started following suit. So pinball was banned across the country.
It's so bizarre.
So this lays that all out. And this movie, it took me a couple, probably 4 or 5 scenes before I really started, buying into it. It was kind of bugging me a little bit. It felt predictable. When you hear predictable, like a movie, that movie was predictable. What does that mean to you?
It doesn't take chances.
Like story wise?
Yeah, generally.
You're not surprised by where it goes.
Yeah, I kind of think that's how I think of predictable as well. But there is this other type of predictable where it's like you can see the next edit, you can see the next move, you can almost hear the next line.
Wow.
Those kinds of predictable. That's a different kind of predictable, which I also notice and recognize in movies that kind of bother me as well.
It's funny because we did top 5 movies a long time ago. Top 5 movies where you already know the ending. The Apollo 13 is the world. That's a very predictable movie. Like you know pretty much what's going to happen every step of the way.
JFK.
And yet it's still very good.
Well, yeah, like Titanic. You know where it's going to go, so it can still be very good.
So predictable is an insult, for lack of a better word, because even though Apollo 13 and those movies are predictable, they're still very good.
No, but did you hear what I was saying? There's another type of predictable.
Yeah.
I discussed that, and now you're going back to the
right. But you're saying
story.
here comes this cut, here comes this joke, here comes this
like you can tell, and then this character is gonna probably have. You can hear the line before. That's a different type of predictable, and this movie definitely has shades of that.
We're gonna get to that.
You know what's kind of interesting? There's a lot of fun facts too, Brian. This is a movie you would love, so you could bring it up at dinner parties and
stuff.
What
do you want to know?
They used the confiscated pinball machines that they were confiscating all over the city. They cut off the legs and they used the legs as billy clubs to make new billy clubs for the cops.
Oh, I did not know that.
That's pretty good.
You're not going to know most of things in this movie, Brian, because you haven't seen it, and it's obscure.
I pride myself on already knowing all
about pinball. The love interest was unnecessary as usual for my own personal taste.
I knew.
But it wasn't. It doesn't take up too many minutes, and she was great. It was kind of sweet. I didn't mind this one so much. It compromises in a day when getting information and publications out there. I don't know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
Usually I can make this my own words.
Feels like you read that.
Yeah, I know. I did verbatim.
Off a website.
So the compromise ends up getting not important, but it really, you see a world where social media and how you had to get out there and what he had to do to actually get this game that he loved so much that gave him confidence. He had another life, but it was one of those things where, and I think a lot of gamers could probably relate to this as well. Like, he needed to go play pinball because he was so good at it, and it gave him the confidence that he needed in the rest of his life. So it was very interesting. Self-aware, the fuck word, he saved it but never used it. And I don't know what that line means. Unfortunate, and I'm sure it was genius when I wrote it. But Is that pinball.
A line from? Did you copy it from the film?
No, I wrote it down, and I'm just one of those things where shorthand, and I'm not understanding my shorthand because I saw this 2-3 weeks ago. So I like how I tried to pass it off, and I didn't. Usually I can do that. Compromises.
Not bad.
A day when getting information and publications out there. I don't know what to. But they, they using the media and whatnot, and it's fun. It goes down smooth. This is a definition of a movie that goes down smooth. You're going to learn some things along the way. I really like the way it was shot. It's period piece. It's all takes place in the 70s.
95% on Rotten Tomatoes. Guys, throttle yourself. Save it for next week. Maybe it's just there's not a rush over to Hulu. Hey, do you want to see a picture of my dad from high school?
You know what? It's about the book, because he makes a book at one point, and I think you'd probably respond to that as well. And he had to.
He wrote a book. He
wrote a book. Yeah, it was a New York Times bestseller, and it was all about pinball.
How cool is that? I'm nowhere near as cool as that.
That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Really taking all the details. The hat.
You got to get one of those
fringe
hats.
Jacket. The middle finger.
Oh yeah. I deciphered my line, which is very important. But okay, so it's frustrating. A very frustrating detail in this movie that is presented, and we understand once watching it is. I guess I'm kind of giving something away, but there's this I felt his frustration, Brian. It was so real too. He wrote this book. He spent so much time and energy and money on interviewing the actual people that brought pinball as we know it today, back then in the 70s, to life. And like, the guy that added the flippers and Williams and the Chicago people. And he spent so much time getting these interviews. And then at the end of the day, the publisher's like, we're not using any of the interviews. We just want the pictures. It's going to be a coffee table book. People just want to see the colorful pictures of the pinball. And it's something that's lost today because we have social media. So he'd be able to just make a blog and use those interviews or, have them transcribed or do a podcast, where it's just, but back then he was just fucked. There was nothing he could do. It was just like, it's my first book. I have no pull. I have no sway. It's the publishers, like, they have the last say. How frustrating that must have been for all of the work and passion he put into it because he loved pinball so much.
Indeed.
I like this movie very much. As of right now, it's probably top 10, which sounds absurd.
For the year.
But it's, early. It's early in the year. Let's not get insane. But yeah, pinball, it's for sure top 15. It goes down smooth. It's a guilty pleasure almost, and you learn a lot, and it's fun. It's cute. Very sweet.
Nice.
Yeah. Not an Oscar type movie.
Before I ruin everything with Blue Beetle, do you want to see a picture of that?
We're looking at fucking pictures
first
of your
we have
dad
to take a quick break.
in the middle of nowhere. It's pretty cool. I don't know how. Is that why you like me? Is because I remind you of your dad?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Because your dad and my dad.
I wish one of you would love me. I don't care which one.
You're much more like my dad, too. It's like the wanting to be the smartest guy in the room always, but never being that guy.
Wanting?
It's sad. It's really sad to watch. The desire. It's like a little white guy going to want to play in the NBA. It's like it's just not going to
Does a
happen.
bird want to fly? No, it just
has
does.
to. It just does.
It's compelled.
Compelled.
Coming up next, we're taking a break for some reason, and after that, Blue Beetle, you guys. Get hyped. Let's go. Back. We never even talked to our listeners, Simon. We got lots to talk about.
Yeah, we're going to get to Dani Leffler. I talked to Dani just today about But I'm a Cheerleader.
All right, let me...
which was not the movie that I thought that it was all these years. It's very different.
Movies you thought that they were. Blue Beetle.
Beetle.
This is a 2023 film directed by Angel Manuel Soto. Starring starring I'm going to fuck this up. I apologize. Zola Maridu.
You've done it twice?
Really?
You fucked it up twice.
Maridueña as Jaime Reyes, a.k.a. the Blue Beetle. Ariana Barraza, Damien Alcazar, El Pidia, Carrillo, Bruna Marquezine, Raul Max Trujillo, Susan Sarandon, that one I got, and George Lopez. 77% of Rotten Tomatoes, a shocking 77%. What was their score? 17?
For the FVG score, yes.
Jesus Christ. In theaters now. So sadly, this is exactly what I expected. Anderson, you've been subjected to the trailer, I assume.
A 5-star film.
Exactly. It was as great as I could expect. Actually, greater. It was a mess. It was visually overwhelming. The sound was cacophonous, and it's funny because
that's none of the problems that I had with this movie. Wait, the trailer, anyways. No, I've not seen it, but that's none of those things are why I did not see this movie.
Well, there's other problems, but the sound was cacophonous. And it's funny because I was talking later that day, to a friend of mine who does sound for films, and he said, funny story about that. The company that was originally hired to do the sound really dropped the ball and really fucked it up. And so by the end, the solution was just throw more sound in there to kind of make something interesting.
Things, yeah.
It was a mess. It was hard to understand. It was assaulting on the senses. The movie is... Okay, the kids would call this mid, right there in the middle, nothing special. It's worse than bad. It's boring and confusing. It's a boring movie. and it's a confusing movie.
Yeah.
Like there's a lot going on that I had questions throughout, and I'm like, oh, they're going to address this at some point, and they never did. Like
They had 2 hours and 7 minutes to do so. This movie's 2 hours and 7 minutes?
Yeah, and it was supposed
Thank
to
you
be
so much, Brian.
It was supposed to be a Max release, like HBO Max, and they put it in theaters for some reason. They believe in it for whatever reason. I saw it yesterday, literally yesterday, and I have forgotten most of what I saw. Thankfully, I wrote down a contemporaneous notes. So the actress, okay,
Zolo?
where do I start with this? Okay, so Susan Sarandon is the villain. She's kind of like the head of this major corporation that is trying to develop this weapon technology based on this alien technology they've discovered frozen in the Arctic, the Scarab. And the Scarab like attaches itself. Actually, it's got a lot in common with Upgrade. Nothing good, but all the stuff where it's like, oh, it takes control of you and can like turn you into a fighting machine. And
It's Venom.
This kind of, but he's constantly okay. I don't know where to begin. There is a voice, a Jarvis or Friday-like voice, if you're familiar with the Marvel movies, that talks to our hero through the scarab that has attached itself to his spine.
Right.
But it's in like
It's really
it's
gross,
in like
too.
robot voice.
When they see it, they're like, ew, it's worse than I remember.
Yeah, it's in robot voice, and I don't know why this ancient alien technology has robot voice. I don't know if it just knows every language just in case. I don't know if it knows Sanskrit. I don't know if it knows every language ever invented. And some English was probably not spoken this way when this thing crash landed on Earth. And yet the internal the internal dialogue between him and the Jarvis character who is instructing him, and the Upgrade character who's like, would you like me to destroy this person? Yes, please do it. I thought you'd never ask.
Yeah.
Boom, boom, boom. Fight scene.
Where is this? Is he like actually like talking through an IFB type thing? Is he like in a studio somewhere?
No.
Or is this?
No, this is the Scarab, the ancient alien
So it is an
technology.
organic.
Yes.
It's not a. Is it technology or is it an organic living
it's complete-
creature?
As far as I understand, it is completely organic, and Susan Sarandon, the villain, the heavy, is attempting to milk the technology and turn it into
A weapon.
OMAC, one man army corps.
Oh.
Like literally like a super soldiers.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's really interesting. Though.
I know.
I mean, that's pretty creative.
That's
I've
the
never seen a
chance-
movie like that.
that's the
That
chance
is
I was
really
hoping you would
creative.
take.
Yeah. I
So-
mean, you got to give it points for that, right? When the fuck are we going to just say enough? Brian, you're part of the problem. You went and saw this. You went and saw this.
I didn't.
How
think-
in the fuck does this get greenlit?
So Susan Sarandon
He thanked you
is
30 seconds ago.
Now I'm outraged. I mean, they did that in E.T.
Oh yeah, listen, this is not an original thought. That said, Susan Sarandon is the villain. She wants to get this technology and turn a profit off it by making super soldiers. She has a niece, her brother's daughter.
That's
who
how it works.
Is inexplicably played by a Brazilian actress, and she is having trouble with the accent. She is attempting to be corporate, like vice president or whatever, like CCO of this major corporation. Susan Sarandon's niece. There's no explanation given why this woman is Brazilian and has an accent. Yet we watch her fumble and stumble over words throughout I fumble and stumble all the time. At least I have an excuse that is addressed from time to time. This woman is unfairly asked to portray, I don't know, one of the kids from Succession. Rupert Murdoch's kids. Like, that is who her archetype is. And yet she is Brazilian, and it's distracting. I'm like, okay, well, they're going to get into it. They're going to say her dad was, it's her half brother, and her dad was Hispanic, or he married a Cuban woman. None of that.
Even if I saw this movie, I don't think that this is what I'd be quibbling over, and I don't think I'd have anything to add here because I don't get hung up on little details like this, like you do.
Brian's saying he wish he could speak English better.
But
That's what I'm hearing. That's exactly what
that lack of attention to detail that is
they speak.
problematic
Portuguese in
throughout the film.
Brazil. Portuguese in Brazil.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
I didn't know
Yes.
that.
You didn't know that?
Portuguese.
I think maybe I did. It's not Spanish. Yeah, it's Portuguese. Okay, makes sense.
All right.
Yeah.
Brian's getting learning on this
I'm getting
episode.
schooled.
I have a very funny
The
quick
kids still say
aside.
schooled?
Quick aside. about that. A very good friend, my very good friend Derek. You know Derek.
How do you say dachshund in Portuguese?
Probably the same. Probably escaped Nazis down there.
Right. I had my friend Derek. He had some housekeepers.
Okay.
Who he liked very much many years ago up in Seattle, and my friend Derek, he was fluent in Spanish at one point. He actually immersed himself and lived in Mexico for a while. He was really into Spanish, loved his Spanish. And many years later, he had these housekeepers who he spoke Spanish to and he didn't really understand them very well. They didn't understand him. He was really beating up on himself for like a year or two, going, I can't believe how much Spanish I've lost. Turned out that they're from Brazil. They spoke Portuguese. And he's like, is my Spanish that bad? And they're like, no, we are sorry. Like, we don't speak Spanish very good. He's like, what do you mean? We speak Portuguese. And so they just been struggling for like a year or two to try and understand him.
I hope he forgave himself.
For firing them, yeah, I think he came around.
Cruel. This movie is boring and speaking of predictable, I'm gonna set this up. You complete the scene as you think it probably appeared on screen. We'll see how close you get.
Bad.
So at one point, we meet
about George Lopez.
We meet Jaime.
Yeah, where's George Lopez in this cameo? He's just the dad who's angry at the dinner table.
He's not the dad. He's the wacky uncle with the long goatee and the long ponytail.
Oh no, playing against type.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Finish your thought first.
It was so distracting. It was so bad. And then he's supposed to be, at the end, out of nowhere, he's like a computer genius who can like hack into this corporation.
Oh, he's a
like,
badass.
He knows the original.
He's got a goatee.
He's familiar.
He's part of Anonymous.
He knows the original Blue Beetle. He's like, he was the Blue Beetle.
Brian, no, careful.
And it's like.
That was Portuguese.
Brian.
That was Paul Rodriguez. And so, okay, I'm going to set this up. Our main character, we meet Jaime Reyes. He is a proud college graduate, the first one in his family. And he's graduated college, and right away you get the point of view is like, how do I look? And he's like, you look like you're about $100,000 in debt. So the is being set up as you wasted your money.
Funny.
And good stuff. And at some point, he is confiding in his sister, or he's complaining to his sister. He's like, someday, 5 years from now.
Brian?
What? I can't help it. 5 years from now is going to be me standing in front of a huge mansion, having a whole bunch of workers work for me. And you'll see, I'll be making $1 million within 5 years, whatever it is. Smash cut to a drone shot of the ocean, pulls up to a mansion.
Oh, yeah, he's working
huge
there.
He's standing in front of the mansion,
Yeah.
all proud.
Yeah.
What do you think happens?
He turns around with his duster or he mows the lawn.
Yes, he turns around to reveal that he is an employee to take care of the grounds.
Does anyone actually fall for it? I mean, because the whole... Avery, let me explain comedy to you.
Clever twist. I was like, we're gonna see something different here. Nope, exactly what you expect.
Avery,
exactly.
As a stand-up comedian, can you explain or tell us? And I don't want to set you up, and not. I'm assuming the best laugh and the reason for laughs.
Yes.
Many of the time is for the simple reason of something that is like
unexpected.
Whoa,
right?
Let me write that down.
So that's where the laughs come from, and. So if you have a joke that I would think 90% of the audience expects, that makes it unfunny, right?
You would think, but there's going to be enough people who get
10%.
Yeah,
1 in 10. Well, I guess it's probably more like 50% of the people that would like go see this movie.
Because there's still hacky jokes where people know where it's going, but they like hearing it.
Do they? Who? Those are the people that like bad movies.
I think so, or they don't think it's bad.
77%.
They like it because they got it.
Here's what's insulting, and I will be misconstrued, and because we have such an audience that we can shut down Hulu if we.
It's almost like an immediate callback. No,
it's not though, because
I
if
just
you
got an alert, Hulu just crashed.
It's for people who. The joke is supposed to be like, oh my God, he did make it. What? Wait, he's mowing the lawn?
Classic.
Everyone
Mr.
sees
X.
it. Everyone fucking sees it. So what you have in effect is an angry audience, like a pissed off audience, and they're like, "Fuck this movie even harder than I thought." Like moments before this horrible joke that does not land because everyone sees it. All right, this could be misconstrued, and I think it will be misconstrued. Not just what I'm saying, but people who hate, especially people who look like me who are white.
This would be better if the cast was white.
Exactly. We needed Andy Serkis should have had all these parts. Yes. I think no. This is such a paint by numbers cash grab. Like, look at this is this underserved audience that will flock to see this superhero movie because there's representation. Who puts this out? Fucking DC. Fuck you guys for doing this.
A lot of familia. Vin Diesel.
The Hispanic community deserves something better than a piece of shit. From what I hear, and I'm just, I'm assuming I'm pretty confident that I'm probably right in this. This movie is lazy. It's not good. It's paint by numbers. It's thrown together as a cash grab, and it's victimizing a community that is underrepresented and does need to have better representation and deserves way better than fucking Blue Beetle.
I think overall it's above average. 3 stars.
So it's almost like opening restaurants, right? Like you open a bunch of restaurants and like. In the different neighborhoods, you got like the white DC restaurant here, and you got the black DC restaurant there, and then it's like, and then you like, hey, just give them some, second-rate leftovers, and that's what it is. This movie is like a bunch of leftovers. Brian, I didn't say that. I said leftovers.
That's what they're saying.
I said leftovers. It's dirty, and it's just like, oh, the sound is awful. Just throw a bunch of music on. No one will even notice. It's like they should be called out for this kind of shit.
I agree. Well, it's not like you're doing it.
Who put it out? DC?
DC and Warner Brothers.
Is it Warner Brothers? WB? Dub?
I think so.
Fucking Warner Brothers.
I think so.
You guys got to be ashamed of yourselves. You once housed Stanley Kubrick, and now look at you. Look at you. I mean, they should be. Would anyone call them out? Like, hey, there should be pickets. Like Hispanic people should get together.
Why isn't
Matt we deserve better?
Championing this is like a woke disaster. Like, well, why are they getting on Barbie, the $1 billion movie?
Matt Walsh is upset with Barbie?
No, I think people of his ilk.
People of his ilk.
Heroes of the world.
All right. I'm sorry. Let's move on.
Because this is insulting.
Coco is fucking phenomenal.
Coco rules.
Disney did it right.
Good.
Encanto's all right.
Coco's a little bit.
Coco is fucking masterful. Like isn't that what it is? This is a quick cash grab because like Hispanics have been underrepresented in leotard movies.
I mean, I don't know the production history, but it does feel like, hey, we got this property. Let's get it into production.
Oh Christ! I just saw a vision of the future of a 9 fucking paragraph email from Gio explaining Beatles, Blue Beetles.
I do think
9.
I don't care, Gio. I don't give a fuck about Blue Beetle.
Just writing the intro.
But I'm assuming this is an old property.
I'm now vaguely recalling. I think they partially released it too, to kind of test the waters and see if they'd roll this in to the new DC universe. See if they could kind of salvage this and throw it in. But I don't think that'll be.
Well, I mean, maybe if it's making money, I don't know. That's. I could see a large contingent, a group of people going to see this movie, hoping for the best.
I don't pay attention too much to box office.
But I think James Gunn is.
I know this did barely edge out Barbie for #1 of the box office, which is kind of a sad state of affairs. Barbie's in its 4th or 5th week.
Yeah, but it's kind of like a runaway hit.
4th.
What is?
Barbie.
Barbie's a huge hit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying edging it out. Is it the first time it has been dethroned?
Dethroned, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's low. That's damning.
Who's the big
faint praise?
It's not. It's a second-rate movie. It sounds like.
Yes, it's not. Good.
George Lopez is the biggest name.
He's a comic relief. Oh, Sarandon.
Sarandon, yeah, that's right. Susan Sarandon. That's what I think villain. I think Susan Sarandon.
Her niece is Brazilian.
Let's talk. But I'm a cheerleader.
Let's talk about
Thanks to Dani Leffler.
Thanks, Dani, for signing us. But I'm a cheerleader. 1999 film directed by Jamie Babbitt. It is her feature debut, starring Natasha Lyonne, Clea Duvall, Kathy Moriarty, RuPaul Charles, Melanie Linsky, I forgot a K in there, Michelle Williams, and Bud Cort, your favorite.
Bud Cort.
Crushing
it, Bud Cort.
Just 42% of Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, Dani and I had a good time talking about that. I had no idea what the Rotten Tomato score. I asked Dani earlier today what it was because I wanted to figure out if you were going to like this movie or not. And I became enraged.
I wanted to like it, but then I saw the score and totally changed my opinion.
Okay. Before we're done talking about But I'm a Cheerleader, we'll circle back and let me get on my fucking soapbox again and talk a little bit about the rating.
Oh, the Rotten Tomatoes.
Because I just did a soapbox run and I don't want to do that again. Now for the ladies, and the lesbians and the gay community. I feel like I've already spoken for the Hispanic community, the Latino community, Latinx community, if you will. Latinx. I will move on and speak for the gay community at the end of this in my outrage.
Well, right. If you're listening, maybe you didn't know that there's a lot of gay content in this film. I had no idea. Let me set it up for you. So Natasha Lyonne plays a very She plays a cheerleader at a high school in a very straight-laced, middle-of-the-road suburban area. And she acts a little different. She got pictures of girls up in her locker, and she sometimes, you see her point of view, slow motion fantasies of these cheerleaders doing their thing.
Man show type stuff.
Yes, and her parents become very concerned that she might be gay. But so they send her to gay conversion therapy camp, where she meets other gay characters who are also sent there by their parents for concern that they might end up gay. And we have our story.
Was that Boy A? Was that the one that...
Boy A?
Was that what it was called?
Oh, I never saw it.
Where he went to a gay conversion. I can't remember. I saw it a couple of years ago. Was that the one? It doesn't matter. But there was like a serious dramatic version of this where you got to see what those gay conversion camps are like. It was pretty cool where you got to like go in the... Lucas Hedges? Hey, can you see if that's what it was called? If it was Boy A?
Boy A?
Yeah, I believe that's the one. So I did not know what this movie was going to be.
Same.
I thought that it was going to be more like what are those?
Step Up or Sugar and Spice or
a little bit like
what's the Kirsten Dunst movies?
Bring It On.
Yeah.
That's also what our friend Dani Leffler thought it was going to be.
Different film.
Different film. What is the one with Lucas Hedges? Can you look at Lucas Hedges from I'd say 2018, 2019?
Look up Lucas Hedges gay shit.
No, Brian, that's not how it goes. This movie is much more. The only comps I can think of it is its own thing. But if it wasn't
Boy Erased.
Boy Erased. I had the boy part there, and then I went astray. I went down a different path after Boy. I got Boy right, and then I went to a different place with the Erased.
Oh, Erased has an A in it.
John Waters and Matthew Bright, to a lesser extent, director of Freeway.
I agree with you, but I don't agree with this movie as its own thing. If I'm to quibble with this movie, and I think it's a smart, insightful movie, I felt like so much was taken from like the indie movie handbook.
Yeah.
Like there's the bright colors, the John Waters colors, as you mentioned, the oblique angles, the camera goes Dutch a lot. There's weird mugging a lot of the time. The characters are cross-eyed for no reason.
It was goofy.
It was goofy.
It didn't take itself too seriously, which was fine until it did take itself seriously.
Yes.
And that was my biggest...
in both arenas.
My biggest... But it was an hour in before they actually asked us to take anything seriously. It was the love scene where the music changed, because this music is like music box music. Like the score is like music box / circus music throughout. Now you, I guess, kind of complained about the set design. I love the set design. It was very, very... bash you over the head with it. You can't not see it, but I really liked all of the monotone color, monochromatic tones.
Right.
Wallpaper was actually made of flowers in one of the bathrooms. I thought that was creative, and it was cheap too. I think they did this on a soundstage, a lot of it. And
I might not be being fair to this movie too, because this is from 1999. This predates a lot of what probably seems very rote to me at this point.
Yeah. So I'm not saying that it created like the indie porn, as my buddy Eric calls this kind of thing, but I don't know if it would have felt indie porn at the time, perhaps, but 99, I think other movies have imitated it since. I think this movie was way ahead of its time.
I agree with
and I thought that it was not a movie aimed at me. I had a hard time accessing, especially the love stories or caring about the love interests, and which ultimately is what the movie is about. You see it going there.
Sure.
And I had a hard time taking it seriously at any point, but it was fun, and I appreciate it. I feel like the filmmakers made exactly the movie that they set out to make. That's what it seems like.
Do you feel like, to continue that line of thought from earlier, do you feel like the turn towards the serious in the third act was a problem? For me, it was a huge problem.
Yeah, that was my biggest.
Like the climactic moment, I'll just say it involved cheering. She is a cheerleader.
I think that
was one of the cringiest things I've ever seen.
I want to call it cringy.
Really?
Yeah.
I felt uncomfortable.
Oh, really? I didn't get that from it.
I shuddered.
I think that part of the problem is that we're not lesbians. I think that the writer director felt for these characters and loves them more than we were able to, and also you can say all that, but then you can also turn to Brokeback Mountain, and like I was crying and I really fucking cared for those characters and I wanted them to be together. It was the tonal shift in the third act. If it just stayed goofy but then still had a message, which it was having the message throughout. I think that maybe it was concerned about not being taken seriously because of the goofiness, and they wanted, but I don't know if it earned it as the word.
Yeah, and I feel bad. I do this a lot. We do this a lot, which is quibble over what I think is ultimately a good movie. Like I think this is above average 3-star movie, but it's a good flawed movie, if that makes sense to me.
Yeah, and I think, especially in '99, there were, other than queer cinema, nothing really came mainstream. This was almost like quasi mainstream with the success it had and it played in theaters, and it's gotten a bit of a cult following since. And all of the gay rainbows and the motifs and stuff, you didn't really see that in movies. So. And RuPaul, like I would not have known that was RuPaul. If I did not see his name in the credits, her name in the credits coming up, I would have been going, I know that guy, but how do I know that guy? Like it would have been bugging me.
He was good.
I had no idea RuPaul had that in him for this role. He plays a guy who's obviously gay, who's the coach, one of the main coaches, and he's trying to, get them all to be straight with his methods and his ways, which were very goofy and silly. The whole movie is very silly until it's not. And the main reason, the main way that they try and do that is just with music change. That's kind of where.
Yeah. Can you report back on what Dani liked about this movie? Why she
saw it during COVID, and she had heard about it for years, and she, like you and I, thought it was a much different movie, and she was very pleasantly surprised. She's seen it 3 times now. It lost some of its luster, she said, for her when she saw it a few days ago. I'm very happy that I know what this movie is now.
Same.
And like I said, I don't think it's made for me. That said, I appreciate it what it was, and I think that they did make the movie that they set out to make.
Is it funny? It was funny for me. Was it funny for you watching Natasha Lyonne in this role play such a straight-laced character, given how we know her now?
Yeah, it's like she, in real life, ran like the rest of this is the prequel to her every other character we know her playing now, like Orange is the New Black, and what's that other one she's in right now? Anyway, she plays like a crass, like butchy, in-your-face character. Which I love her. I absolutely love her. She was one of my, if not my favorite character. Oh, there's so many great characters on Orange is the New Black. But
no, is it named after a bug? Not Blue Beetle, obviously.
Okay, so can we move on to my squabble, my stump?
Oh yeah,
a little bit.
Erect your soapbox.
So we've gotten some shit. You and I we get shit all the time.
I get shit ever.
I get shit all the time because I talk a lot. I say a lot of dumb things. I own that.
Occasionally I get a shit. Yeah.
Shit, yeah, Bri, high five. One of the things that we've gotten shit, and I kind of backed off. I'm like, I see what you're saying, and we won't say that this movie's critic-proof as much as we did. For a while, they were leaning on that. We say that because certain movies have subject matter that is
Blue Beetle is critic-proof.
Considered critic-proof to an extent, because critics, I think, are afraid of looking like they're coming down on the wrong side of this or that. And I see
they'll
movies
acknowledge the effort or the intent more than they will the product.
Yes. Yeah. And that
you see Blue Beetle, like, yes, representation is important, but not like this.
Like they should give it for all the reasons what I said. I think that they should give it a bad review, a negative review, which from what I understand it deserves.
It's not good
because like a population deserves better, right? So for many other reasons, but imagine this movie, but I'm a cheerleader coming out today. What do you think the critic score? What do you think the Rotten Tomato score would be?
101%.
I mean, I don't know if it would be that high, but it'd be like high 80s, 90s. That's what I'm talking about when I get mad when movies are inflated because of their messages, because I don't think the critics are as honest as they should be when people are listening to them to figure out if they should give their time to a fucking movie, right? This movie comes out today. And back then, the critic...
they missed the ball on back then.
Danny and I both think that they were probably... upset with the actual name. Now, it's a different generation of critics, perhaps, but maybe they were like put off by all the gay sex scenes. And
sure, you can see that.
It's all very tame, too. This movie, Danny was telling me, almost got an NC-17, and she had to cut some dialogue that was talking about going down on another girl. And the MPAA, I guess that the director...
This movie should be PG-13.
Jamie Babbitt was in that MPAA documentary about talking about all the shit that she had to deal with in making this movie. This film was not yet rated. Yeah. I need to rewatch that. It's such a good doc.
Solid doc.
But yeah, so the people that are going to like But I'm a Cheerleader, I think are really going to like it. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate it for what it was. I did not love this movie. I could not like.
Is this movie rated R?
It's rated R, yeah.
That is shocking.
Well, it's not because, I mean, some of the language is pretty coarse and crass and, sex related.
By
but
today's standards,
it was
this should be
almost
a PG-13
NC-17. They had to
movie.
cut 19, 20 seconds out of it. Yeah.
Wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah. So critics, be honest. Just be honest. Don't worry. No one's going to cancel you. You're just a fucking critic.
It's funny because they missed the ball back then. Today it would be too high. This is a 70, 71, 72. You know what I mean? It's a good movie, but it's...
Yeah, I'd give it like high 60s, low 70s. Like that's what I would expect it to be, or if I was grading it. Like, there's enough things that I grade down that, if this was if I was a teacher and they presented this as their
final project,
I go like a C.
I see where you're going for here.
Yeah, maybe a C minus. No, it's a C. Glad I saw it. Santa Clarita.
Thanks, Danny. Oh, so you drove in Santa Clarita?
It's where it was shot, up in Santa
Oh,
Clarita.
I thought you drove to see it in Santa Clarita.
No, I watched it at my house because I have
Yeah, that
Hulu
doesn't make any
or
sense.
Peacock, or where the fuck did I see this?
Oh, I saw it on Freevee.
I rented it because I'm a purist. Brian, get out of here with your freebie.
I was going to rent it, but then Freevee popped up, and I was like, fuck yeah.
Last week, you said you were a purist and you were going to rent it
I
straight
did
up.
say that. I've really gone back on
Okay, a movie that falls in line with a lot of the pinball as far as it being a bit predictable in that way that I was talking about, or I could see the joke coming, or I could see the next action.
I'd like to see Blue Beetle with you.
No, I could see.
That's a watch along.
Well, let me ask you this: what's worse, Suicide Squad, or Blue Beetle?
Oh, wow. The first original Suicide Squad you're talking about?
Yeah, that's the one that's just called Suicide Squad, right? Not the Suicide. That's the one where I was pacing in the theater because I was in there by myself and I was yelling at the screen. I was so fucking mad, Brian,
This whole
that
time-
piece of shit existed. I was really, really mad, and I was just giving it to the theater. And then towards the end of the film, I saw movement in the top right hand corner of the screen. I mean, of the theater. Somebody was up there.
Watching you.
He didn't seem to be put off by it. When I went into the bathroom after the movie was
He's like,
over,
right on, brother.
he came in. He's like, dude, it's the fifth time I've seen that movie. It's so good. That's what he said. Something along those lines.
Okay.
You would have loved the
This
Blue
whole
Beetle
time.
joke. You would have loved the Blue Beetle joke at the mansion.
Yeah.
That's right.
I would not.
This whole
He
time,
would have, yes.
listeners behind the scenes,
He's their gardener.
I have been thinking about what's better or worse, this or Suicide Squad or Blue Beetle. Suicide Squad is worse, but it has better moments. Blue Beetle's a flat line, whereas at least Suicide Squad has a couple of moments where you're like, all right, that works.
You remember that movie Wing Commander?
Never saw it. Famous for having a Star Wars trailer and finishing number one of the box office because people bought tickets to see it, the trailer, and then left after the trailer ended. Never saw the movie.
Freddie Prinze Jr. and
Yes. Lillard, right?
Matthew Lillard. Yeah, I saw this at a time where I'd see every single movie that came out because I had access to those theaters when I was dating that
99?
woman. 1999, yeah. And I remember that this I had the exact same response to this as you were having with Blue Beetle, which is like there's tons of stuff going on, and I was just bored stiff. It was the strangest sensation.
Yeah.
Like there's so many. You know what?
It was
the
constant stimuli, but I was bored.
Prequels kind of felt like that. The Star Wars prequels kind of felt like that too. Like there's so much going on, but I don't give a shit about the Senate.
You have lost me.
Yeah. All right.
We're gonna watch along with this someday.
I don't think so. Speaking of watch along, is it me? Do I get to do it?
I feel like it's me, but we're running.
I think we
time.
tied.
So it's you.
Okay. And speaking of watching along for the listener, we will be watching High and Low thanks to our friend Andrew Martin. We'll be watching another Kurosawa film, High and Low. I'm getting pretty close to having seen his entire collection, bro.
That's our watch along.
High and Low.
Well,
High
there's
and
our
Low
assignment.
Is our assignment. I think our watch along will be House, not to be confused with the American House, and we're talking about the Japanese
What about
House.
that? Is it the house where Will Ferrell starts a casino in his house?
No, Brian, it's much different. It's called House. I don't know how this is going to go, but we're going to watch it. Remember, didn't I send you guys the link? House. I
I
didn't.
think it'll.
I don't know.
Come on. All right. Well, we got to figure out when we can do that too. Now I'm watching a TV show House by mistake. All right, let's go.
High
Let's
and
get out
Low.
of here.
Movie 1963. Oh, thank you, Max, and the Criterion Channel. Soak it up. Soak it up. Thanks, Dani Leffler, for assigning us a movie, but I'm a cheerleader. Always appreciate the assignments. Always appreciate something new that's off our radar. Thank you very much for being an assigner. If you want to be an assigner, just sign up over on the Patreon, patreon.com/thefilmvault. That was all from memory, by the way.
1977's House is what we're going to be watching this month for the watch along. Brian, we got to do this next week. I don't know if you can do it Sunday.
I can pull it off.
Sunday?
Is it as disturbing as Return to Oz? Because that set the bar pretty high.
It's not even disturbing. It's just one of the more bizarre movies you will have ever seen.
Oh, cool.
And it'll be fun to watch it.
Where can one stream it?
Max, I believe.
Right.
Max. By the time the show is over, I will have told you.
All right. Yes, I mentioned Dani Leffler. Madly in Dub is our feature artist this week. Check them out. AndersonandBryan.com. That's where you go. Oh, I should mention, if people are still listening, Amazon is doing another promotion where they're increasing the payouts in a number of categories. A large number of categories have a pretty good increased payouts. So if you're on the fence for buying something, pair of pants, pair of shoes, some electrical equipment, whatever it is, I'll maybe go over the next episode, the exact categories. But consider pulling the trigger in the next 3 or 4 weeks. It'll help us a little bit.
Looks like it's streaming on Max. All right.
Max.
It's getting so confusing when you're looking at these. I mean, look at this. Hulu / with Max. Max subs through Prime.
There's
it's
a lot
like,
of piggybacks.
Stop with it. I get it. You guys are all incestual and you're all like vying for the big mighty dollar, and there's only like 3 of you left. I get it. Just simplify things for us little consumers, would you?
Yeah,
simplify.
and support independent cinema like Blue Beetle.
One person might have heard that and believed what you were saying because they're half listening and they're baked or something, Brian. And maybe,
Don't listen to the show high.
well, I mean, it'd be really bad if there's like, what an idiot, but it's even worse. It's like, yeah. Indie
the bald
cinema.
man knows what he said. Knows what he's
That guy knows movies.
Oh,
Blue
geez.
Beetle's
You really aren't
independent.
listening. Instagram, Anderson and Bryan. TikTok, Anderson and Bryan. Twitter, Facebook, The Film Vault.
Oh, shit.
YouTube, The Film Vault Podcast. Yes.
I need to start doing a push for Loaded for Bear as well, because I'm going to do that on this week's Loaded for Bear podcast, because I am to a point now where we're going to have to start. I'm going to have to hat in hand it because I got some big things in the works, and your names can be associated with this at this level. Speaking of independent, we're hoping to get to a point later in the year where we can actually bring in some more traditional money. But right now we're putting together the short. I have names that are attached.
Recognizable names?
Recognizable names,
Hey.
and it's exciting.
James Woods.
3 of the 4 are actually already semi-locked in. It's keeping me up at night because, there's a lot going on. We're going to be shooting this short that is related and going to be woven into the actual documentary with my Born to Act players and the class that I've been working with for the last few years now, and getting them on set. And I'm going to have all of them on set, either with speaking lines or as extras. It's going to be crazy. It's going to be awesome. We're going to have actual actors that are recognizable, that SAG actors that are allowed to work on this because they're slumming it. It's one of the carve outs and the one of the few things that they're allowed to do during the strike, which is actually altruistic and helping, and it's for a good cause. And I would not be asking for money, especially with all the crazy shit that's going on right now, if it wasn't for a good cause. If I was out there raising money for a little independent movie about a girl with a gun walking around or something, it's like no, not right now. This is one of the good causes out there that you can help with, and it's 501c3, which means chances it's going to be a tax write-off as well. So if you've been thinking about it, now's a good time. LoadedForBearDoc.com, and I'll talk more about it on this week's Loaded for Bear.
Awesome.
I got this. I got a movie to make, which is on this feed. All right.
What can I do to help?
Give all of the proceeds that you got from your book to Loaded for Bear.
Fucking spent long ago. All right, so we're
So you can do nothing.
Thanks, Gio, for the long emails that I'm sure I'm going to wake up to. Mitch Burns, appreciate you. Mike Cole, and of course, Eric Kath. Check out Addie's Antiques. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, I guess that's about it.
All right, see you next time for Top 5 Foul-Mouthed Characters.
I'm so excited.
We got clips.
It's going to be a filthy show,
to make sure
Brian.
the kids are not in the car.
Yes. We will remind you of that later in this week. All right. We do it for Fango.